following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Perez. You're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
And with that, we welcome you to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the Gear Radio Network. This is episode number 148.
148. Creeping up at that 150.
We're getting close. We are getting very, very close. Almost halfway to 200. Now, this title this week it's a mouthful. The NFL Week 4 and MLB Playoffcast. That's right. We're talking football again for the fourth straight week. And also, we're going to take a quick look at Major League Baseball with the playoffs starting a night ago. We're actually recording on Wednesday evening, about 6 p.m. So we're recording before the AL wildcard game, but the NL wildcard playing game has already happened. But with that being said, first off, you can hear us on BetterLiveThanDead.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to this and all Better Live Than Dead and Gear Radio Network podcasts. I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD, and joining me on the IndyCar Media Hotline, Mr. Perez at MRLG Perez. How you doing today, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm doing pretty good. I got some good news earlier today. I'm not going to really get into it, but I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm very hungry. I know it's kind of a first world problem here, but I'm very tired after coming home from Hawaii. It's a little hard to get used to the time change back. I know the first day I came home, I went to bed at 3 a.m. and woke up at 11:30. So there's that. I was so tired. I think it was this morning. I think it was either this morning or yesterday morning. I was so tired that my alarm actually scared me when it went off. So, I pretty much just take some melatonin. My wife's got some adult melatonin gummies, pop 2 of those, get tired, fall asleep, and sleep like a rock. And I think it's a good idea to get myself back in the swing of things, especially in preparation for this weekend, which is a big weekend for me because you've got hockey's back tonight, Wednesday the 2nd. The Sabres are back Thursday the 4th, or Wednesday the 2nd, Thursday the 3rd, Friday the 4th. On Friday the 4th, the Rochester Americans have their home and season opener. And then on Saturday the 5th, my birthday, the Sabres home opener. And then Sunday the 6th is the Bills and Titans. And then I'm also going to my cousin's wedding. So it's going to be a very busy weekend, very sports-centric weekend. I can't be tired. I got to be ready to go, ready to drink, ready to hang out and have a good time. And it's hard if I can't stay awake.
That's true. All those activities would be very difficult if you can't keep your eyes open.
I'll have to just go to Dunkin' Donuts and just get a vat of coffee. That'll be great.
People be sitting there like, when did Ryan become narcoleptic?
Yeah, I probably would do it too. I'd fall asleep and I wouldn't even care. Excuse me, but hey, let's move on to the 3 big things. I don't want to waste any time. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about today, Lewis. First off, Sunday.
Get right into it.
Sunday was indeed a fun day. Now, I think the Sunday fun day saying is kind of white people-ish, but it was a fun day. There was a lot of cool stuff that happened. First off, Kansas City, they scored the game-winning touchdown to win 34-30 with 20 seconds to go in Detroit. They moved to 4-0. Patrick Mahomes, another great game, and an already great season. 315 passing yards, but no touchdowns thrown, Lewis. It's only the 3rd time in his 21-game NFL career that he has had no touchdown passes in a game. Let me actually pop up Patrick Mahomes really quick, too, so we can update people on the Patrick Mahomes statistical watch. Bam. 1,510 yards on the season, 10 touchdowns passing. Patrick Mahomes on pace now for 6,040 passing yards this season, still well above the NFL record. So we'll keep an eye on that as the season progresses. But the first real bad game being 315 passing yards we saw from Pat Mahomes this season. Moving over to Tampa Bay, the real shock of the week, Lewis. They explode for 55 points in a 55-40 victory over the Rams. Despite the loss, Jared Goff threw 45 completions, 68 passing attempts 517 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. What a game the Rams and the Buccaneers had on Sunday.
Dude, I got to be completely honest with you. I know a lot of people who love the real defensive games. They don't like to see that type of game. And you know, I put something on Facebook. I'm glad the defenses showed up today, jokingly. But I love those type of games. Like, I love a good defensive game. The Dallas Saints game was a defensive game. Both offenses looked anemic because how well the defense were playing. I love that type of game. But when you give me a game like this, when it's just a shootout, that's fun.
It's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, absolutely. The bombs. I mean, we talked about the Bills game on Trust the Podcast. A game like that can be very frustrating, where the defenses are really good and the offenses are both struggling. But I honestly think I would rather take a game like that than have, you know, your defense, your supposed top tier defense allowing 55 points. But I guess the Rams can kind of get over that Super Bowl. They've kind of got that Super Bowl hangover, despite the fact they've had a decent start to the season. This might wake them up and unleash the beast, if you will, because I certainly know that Wade Phillips over in Los Angeles won't be dealing with too many 55-point outings for that defense. But a good game, I would say the game of the week potentially, just because of the points scored. It was a lot of fun. Again, I was shocked to see Jared Goff attempted 68 passes, but then again, when you're down that many points, you got to try to do what you can through the air and score as many points as you can as quick as you can, and that's what you get.
Yeah, that was a fun game. I enjoyed it.
Now, looking over to the New York Giants, at this point, the story, Lewis, the story of Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones continues with a 24-3 victory over the lowly Washington football team. Daniel Jones, 23 of 31, I apologize, passing, 225 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. I'll tell you what, Lewis, it was really fun heading home through JFK because our flight got rerouted. We were in Hawaii. Our flight got delayed because of a mechanical issue. We were going to go to Boston, ended up flying to New York so we didn't miss our connecting flight home. Got a different flight, whatever. But there were people reading the New York Times on the plane, and there was a big old article about Danny Dimes. And I said, you know what? I'm buying in. I'm on the nickname bandwagon. And hey, if you know the Giants looked terrible their first 2 games, they're now 2-2. They've looked good enough to win the last 2 weeks. I mean, judge the opponents respectively. But still, hey, you know, a win's a win, and Daniel Jones making another step towards being the best quarterback in New Jersey.
That's very possible. I mean, first of all, they did beat the Redskins, so the Redskins are going to be terrible this year. They already are, and they had that squeaker of a game against the Bucks where they missed a kick. Giants should have lost that game. But you know, you put them up against a team like the Bills, and the Bills handled them. You know, the Bills beat them 28-14. So, are they going to be a team to watch under this new quarterback? I don't really know. The jury's still out as far as I'm concerned. But he is definitely put a little more spark into that team. Eli was looking tired. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Look at it. It's a good way for It's a good way. It's a good way for the Giants to head. You know, it's better off that Daniel Jones. I almost said Danny Dimes again. Daniel Jones is looking like he somewhat belongs instead of looking like he's lost, because granted, Eli Manning does not look like an NFL quarterback anymore. But no. Speaking of teams, Lewis, that are looking the part finally, the Cleveland Browns. They played the Baltimore Ravens this week. They smoked them. The offense heated up. They're white hot. 40-25 win over the Baltimore Ravens, who Baltimore's looked really good this season so far. Baker Mayfield, 20 for 30, passing, 342 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And Nick Chubb, let me verify these stats because I'm not sure that they are correct. Nick Chubb, of Georgia, big fan of Nick Chubb. He ended up running for, yep, that's correct, 20 rushes for 165 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. He averaged 8.3 yards per carry. His long rush of the day was 88 yards, which I believe, if I remember seeing correctly, is the longest rush allowed in Baltimore Ravens franchise history. So that's a pretty cool little stat for a little feather in the cap on Nick Chubb there. But look at Lewis. If Cleveland continues this white-hot offense that they showed on Sunday, it could be very dangerous for the AFC North as well as the rest of the AFC themselves.
No, you know what? I agree with you. They definitely exploded. They had a great game. They're 2-2, I believe now. It'll be interesting to see where they go. They got smoked by the Titans in week 1. I think that score was like 43-13 or something like that. Then they beat the Jets. Everyone's going to beat the Jets at this point. Lost to the Rams, and then absolutely exploded against the Ravens, who, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a bad team, So it was fun to watch. I like the fact that they're winning again. I got a friend on Facebook who's talking all this junk about the Browns and how people always disrespected them, but now people are jumping on the bandwagon. I would submit that I'm not jumping on any bandwagon. I just like watching this team that's been losing for so long finally doing something. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, granted, I say that knowing that the Buffalo Bills are finally doing something, and I can give a rat's behind because I've always despised the Buffalo Bills.
You come on my podcast and you're so rude.
But hey, good for the Browns. I'm looking forward to see what else they do this year.
I'm looking forward to the Browns-Bills game, as mentioned before in a previous podcast. I will be in Cleveland for that game. Looking forward to sharing some tailgating with some Browns fans, and then just getting a look at both teams. It'll be a lot of fun. I've never been to a football game outside of Buffalo, so it'd be real neat.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I might have a chance to be at that Cowboys-Bills game in Texas.
Hey, let me know. That'd be pretty dope.
It would be.
The last team we're going to talk about this week in the first of the three big things, Jacksonville. They win their second straight game. Leonard Fournette showed up and went off. 29 rushes for 225 rushing yards. Gardner Minshew, again, does the trick. 19 of 33 passing, 213 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. After the game, Leonard Fournette dropped Gardner Minshew's nickname. It is the Jockstrap King because, quote, he is tougher than you think.
I mean,
I'm not sure what that means, but we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. It's hilarious. I like the fact that he got to meet Uncle Rico this week.
It's incredible.
That was funny. That was hilarious.
It's wild too because what's gonna happen with it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with him because once Nick Foles comes back, it's Nick Foles' team. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
But does Jacksonville hold on to Minshew? Does a team think that they can do something with him and then try to trade for him either this season or in the offseason? I mean, obviously right now there's no way that they could trade him. I don't think, but maybe someone thinks that they could do something with him. And hey, he's shown some poise and maybe he's got what it takes to be an NFL quarterback, but it's still early. But I am completely on the Gardner Minshew bandwagon at this point.
Listen, we're 4 weeks into the NFL season, about to enter the 5th, and this has been possibly the most enjoyable season in a while, just because of all the different storylines that have been happening that are kind of fun, like with the Browns and with Minshew, and it's just been a good time so far.
I'm gonna keep subscribing until I mean, even if he's not the quarterback. I think for some reason Jacksonville's just always fun for me to watch. I enjoy it. I like Nick Foles. He's fun to watch as well. But definitely any story that comes out of the league, I'm a big fan of. So again, Gardner Minshew, the Jockstrap King, I'm a fan. I'll be following. I know fellow Gear Network cohort John Cimino is also a big fan of Gardner Minshew. Also, I must mention, I failed to mention earlier in the podcast, but Patrick Mahomes is actually future Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes. I wanted to get that out before I got yelled at.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Now, moving over to our second of the three big things this week, the NFL playoff picture. We are one quarter, Lewis, of the way through the season. So there's no time like the present to take a look at the current standings in the AFC and the NFC. First off, starting in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs are 4-0. They are the number 1 seed as we speak. The New England Patriots are the 2 seed at 4-0 as well. The Houston Texans are the 3rd seed at 2-2. The Browns, the 4 seed at 2-2. So those 4 teams, the Chiefs, Patriots, Texans, and Browns, are your division leaders as we speak. And then the 2 wildcard teams. First off, the 5th seed Buffalo Bills, 3-1 on the season. And in the 6th and final spot, due to some tiebreakers, which I would say there are quite a few tiebreakers to break, because 6 through 11, those seeds are all 2-2. But the Raiders, Oakland Raiders, get the 6th seed due to some tiebreakers. Not sure which one it is. I don't really care that much to go look into it. I can if you want me to. Let me know. But over in the NFC, the only undefeated team remaining in the NFC coming off of a bye week, the 3-0 San Francisco 49ers, who next week take on the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football in Santa Clara. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. The number 2 seed, New Orleans Saints, 3-1. They've taken a little step back offensively since Drew Brees has been injured, but Teddy Bridgewater doing the damn thing so far. The 3 seed, Green Bay Packers, 3-1. Quite easily could have been 4-0. There was a late call in that game that was a little questionable, or lack of a call that was questionable. But hey, 3-1, still not bad, leading their division after 4 games. And then you have the Dallas Cowboys, the 4 seed, also at 3-1. So again, the 49ers, Saints, Packers, and Cowboys are leading their divisions. The 5th and 6th seed, both tied with a 3-1 record, but tiebreakers, the Seahawks get the 5th seed, and the Rams of Los Angeles get the 6th seed. So looking at it now, teams you can probably count out. You're looking at Denver at 0-4, Cincinnati at 0-4, Miami at 0-4, the Jets 0-3, the Steelers are 1-3, and that might be where I cut it off there. It's early, but I'm feeling a little froggy there. Washington 0-3, and the Cardinals 0-3-1, and the Falcons really at 1-3. The Falcons have not looked good. There have been times where they looked like they had some potential, but 1-3 through 4 games, not good. But you look at a team like the Giants, 2-2, they're right back in the thick of it. You've got the Jaguars, the Titans, the Colts all at 2-2, with the Texans also at 2-2. So it's that there's still a lot of stuff that's wide open right now, which is a lot of fun. But is there anything, Lewis, that you're looking at right now and you're kind of shocked by, or you're not surprised by when it comes to these stats or these standings?
You got to be honest with you. The Falcons have surprised me. I thought they would be better. I think a lot of people thought that they were going to be better. That's been very surprising. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Chicago. Now that their quarterback's injured. I think when it comes to the standings that we just talked about with the seed, I don't really see that changing too much as far as the 1 through 4s go. I think that'll probably be consistent throughout the year, with the exception of San Fran, possibly. I don't know if they're real yet. So I'm gonna hold off on San Fran. And honestly,
I'll tell you what, with San Fran, real quick, sorry, Lewis, with San Fran, it looks like, if nothing else, they're building Kyle Shanahan, I should say, is building his perfect kind of machine there in San Francisco. He's getting the right guys for his system. So that's good to see. And it seems like Jimmy Garoppolo, despite the fact that sometimes he makes boneheaded decisions, certainly he seems like he's the right guy. He seems like he's fitting in pretty well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the season. And I'm just going to throw this out there real quick, just on a side note. I like this Detroit team right now. I think there's something there. I think they're better than we've given them credit for.
They definitely look promising. They definitely look very promising. That's for sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, because they're another team that has struggled for so long. I'd like to see them do well.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool to see them back back in the playoffs, or at least the playoff hunt. I mean, I think they've got Matt Patricia's doing something over there for sure. And I think Matt Stafford is one of those guys. It's kind of like Phil Rivers. You just want to see him do well at this point. I mean,
Yeah, no
Stafford's
doubt.
been through a lot and not really had a ton of success, and he's not a bad quarterback, I don't think.
I don't think he is either. I agree with you.
Now, moving on, speaking of the playoffs, Lewis, moving on to where we will wrap our podcast up this week, the Major League Baseball playoffs. Now, we saw on Tuesday night that the Washington Nationals completed an improbable comeback aided by an error in the outfield to beat the Milwaukee Brewers. They move on to face the number one overall seed in the National League, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are looking to go to their third straight World Series. The other two teams in the National League, you have the Braves facing the St. Louis Cardinals. Over in the American League tonight, Wednesday night, time of podcast, the Oakland Athletics take on the Tampa Bay Rays. Winner of that game faces the number one seed in the AL, the Houston Astros. And then you have the New York Yankees taking on the upstart Minnesota Twins. So, Lewis, we put our predictions up on the internet, but let's run through really quick who you have going to the World Series and winning the World Series, and why do you got them? And then I'll do the same thing.
Sounds good. So, at the beginning of the season, I picked the Yankees versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. No, I picked the Brewers. As did you, when we did the preseason cast. Well, obviously, the Brewers aren't going to make it. But yesterday, or 2 days ago, I did my final preseason picks, and I picked Washington to win last night. They did. I have L.A. coming out of the Washington versus L.A. series, and I have Atlanta coming out of their series. And then I've changed what I was going to go with the Dodgers before, but I'm going with the Braves to beat LA in the championships in the conference championship series to make it to the World Series. I like this Braves team. They've been playing great ball. They're relatively unknown, and they've just been doing their thing. Now, I have Tampa Bay winning tonight, face Houston, and then I have Houston beating Tampa Bay in that series. I have the Twins in New York. I have New York beating them. So that'll be Houston versus New York. I got to be completely honest with you. I don't see any possible way that a team could beat that Houston lineup when it comes to their pitching. Their pitching is absolutely disgusting. But I'm sticking with my pick at the beginning of the season. I'm sticking with the Yankees to come out of that series. Houston, New York, if they make it to the ALCS. And then I have New York going against Atlanta in the World Series, with New York winning their 28th.
For me, the Major League Baseball postseason is a sad one because the Red Sox did not do great this year. But I'm putting my feelings aside, and I'll be more than happy to share with you who I have making it to the World Series. First off, in the National League, I did have Washington over Milwaukee. I have then Atlanta over St. Louis. I think Atlanta's young lineup and young pitching staff can do the trick, getting them to the NLCS. I've got the Dodgers over the Nationals, and then I've got the Dodgers over the Braves because I think the Dodgers are too dominant in the National League. Could they be stopped by an upstart team like the Cardinals or the Braves? For sure. Even Washington could stop them. But I think Los Angeles is too deep and their pitching staff is too good for that to happen. So I've got the Dodgers going to their third straight World Series in the representing the National League. In the American League, I've got Oakland over Tampa Bay, Oakland taking on Houston, which I've got Houston winning that one quite easily in my mind. Got New York and Minnesota. I think Minnesota can challenge a little, but I think New York's offensive firepower with all those home runs that they can hit, I think that New York will take that series with relative ease. Looking at the ALCS, I've got Houston over New York, and I'll explain why in just a moment, because in the World Series, I have Houston over LA. Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and Zach Greinke.
That's disgusting.
And that's how the rotation is going to shake out for the ALDS, likely the ALCS, and the World Series. That's at least how I have it looking. So you have to beat one of those guys. You're looking, if you go to 7 games, you're going to have to beat one of those guys twice, maybe 2 of those guys twice. Good luck.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You picked, when we did that preseason cast, you picked Houston to win it all back then. And I have been hauled, and I stayed with the Yankees because I like the firepower. But you could be 100% correct. I mean, and they were tough going into the season, and then they just strengthened their pitching, and made themselves even more dangerous. So you might be absolutely right on.
It also helps out. It also helps Houston out when they have a prospect, Yordan Alvarez, who was traded from the Dodgers to Houston June 9th. Actually, no, it was not June 9th. I apologize. He was traded August 2016 to the Houston Astros for Josh Fields, who currently is out of baseball. He played for the Dodgers from 2016 to 2018. Just to put it into perspective for you, baseballreference.com tells me that in 124 appearances for the Dodgers, he had a 2.61 ERA, 8-2 record through 117 and a third innings. So not horrible, but when you look at Yordan Alvarez, who made his major league debut this season in 87 games, 369 plate appearances, Yordan Alvarez, 98 hits, 26 were doubles, 27 were home runs, 78 runs batted in, a .313 batting average, 94 strikeouts to 52 walks. That averages out to 50 home runs and 145 RBIs in a 162-game average season, and only striking out 175 times, which isn't great, but it isn't terrible. So guys like that, when you have things rolling so well for you, that's what happens. It's definitely something where it looks like things are really, all the stars are lining for the Houston Astros.
Yeah, man, they're looking good. My mind is telling me to pick the Astros, but my heart, I got to go with my heart, man. That says the Yankees. But if the Yankees don't make it to the World Series and lose to the Astros in the ALCS, I frankly would not be surprised.
I don't disagree. I mean, if the Yankees won the World Series, I wouldn't be surprised. They've been fantastic. But again, end of the day, it's really hard. You have to. That's one hell of a rotation.
It really is.
It's going to be very hard to beat.
And it doesn't help that the Yankees are missing Herman. Like, he was their most consistent starter.
But he definitely deserves to be suspended.
Oh, no, 100%. 100%. You're an idiot for doing what you did when you're on you have the chance to be number 1, possibly number 2 in that rotation for the freaking New York Yankees, and you do what you did, and you're an idiot. You deserve to be suspended.
Now, real quick, I know that was the end of the podcast, but it's not going to be. We're going to do something real quick. Real quick here. I'm popping up the lineup for next week here. We're going to look at some games to watch in the National Football League. Thursday night football, tomorrow night. The Los Angeles Rams come rolling into Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Both teams 3-1. The ticket here, Seattle 8-1 in Thursday primetime games since 2010. Rolling down the list here. If we don't get a tie in Cincinnati, either Arizona or Cincinnati will get their first win of the season. You've got the 3-1 Saints.
I'm going to go with Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arizona there too as well. The 3-1 Saints take on the 2-2 Buccaneers in New Orleans this week. You have the Bears and Raiders over in London. I guess that's something to look forward to. You've got the Ravens and Steelers, Bills and Titans. Packers and Cowboys. That'll be a good one. You've got the 3-1 Packers, 3-1 Cowboys, 4:25 Eastern time in Dallas on Fox. That'll be fun to watch. And as previously mentioned, the 3-0 49ers against the 2-2 Cleveland Browns. Monday night, Santa Clara, Levi Stadium on ESPN. That'll also be a lot of fun to watch. Anything that you find yourself, I should just say, how excited are you about watching that Cowboys and Packers game on Sunday?
I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be fun to watch. It'll definitely, I think we'll see if the Cowboys are legit. If they can put up some numbers against the Packers and pull out a W, I think that will really be telling. We know who the Packers are. But I don't think their defense is as stout as the New Orleans Saints are. So I think the Cowboys will be able to move the ball. And frankly, Zeke looked terrible against the Saints. I think he only had like 35 rushing yards. And
I think I saw 1.8 yards per carry or something like that. Second worst game of his career.
Yeah, that's terrible. And frankly, I think he's like in week 3 of preseason right now physically. So I think you might see a hiccup like that or two, but once he gets going, he'll get back to his dominant self. If they don't beat the Packers, I think they'll still make the playoffs coming out of their division, because I don't really think anybody in the division will keep with them, with the exception of the Philly. But I don't even think Philly's as dangerous as they used to be. So I'm looking forward to that game. We'll see what happens.
If nothing else, the Packers look really good. The Cowboys look really good. This could be a playoff matchup preview, or playoff preview, I should say. I don't know why I said playoff.
Absolutely.
What am I, a robot? This could be a playoff matchup preview. What?
I agree with you.
The hell is going on over here?
And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking football. I wouldn't be surprised if we see two teams like the Chiefs and the Patriots have an unbelievable record going into the playoffs.
I think they're both going to have an unbelievable record when they play each other this year. That's another. We're very lucky with some of the games we're getting this season. One of them in the next few weeks will end up being, I think in the next few weeks, will be New England.
That could be a
Kansas
championship
City.
series, preview right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. But hey, you know what?
What's up?
I'm real hungry. I'm getting hangry. I want to go make some dinner. Also, I think we may be talking Sabres with Brayton Wilson. He's I don't know if he told anybody, he had his knee fixed today. He had some knee problems and he got them fixed today. So he's home hanging out, doing nothing, and wants to talk some hockey. So I'm going to go make some dinner and hopefully get in the podcast with Brayton, and we'll go from there. But Lewis, hey, as always, my man, it's a pleasure.
Always.
We are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
We will catch you sometime very soon, my friends. Thanks again for tuning in. And I don't know. Enjoy hockey, I guess.
Deuces.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Perez. Project Transformation is not just about my weight loss, but it's also about the people who are supporting me in my weight loss and your journeys. And frankly, it's not going to be just about my weight loss journey. Throughout this, I want to highlight people in the community that are making changes and transforming the community themselves. So it's not going to be just my transformation, but it's the community's transformation. I'm inviting you to walk with me only on the Gear Radio Network.